Hey, it's Matthew Arthur, seasoned entrepreneur. So this video, I'm just going to give some updates on what I'm doing with Colossal Growth Strategies, my digital marketing agency. So as I've mentioned in the previous videos, if you've watched them, if you haven't, what are you doing? Probably doing something better. Probably doing something that is more valuable with your time. Anyway, I've been working on doing some market research for different industries and niches in Australia to determine our next 3 to 5 niches. And also, because I'm just a super nice guy, I'm going to share below somewhere in the YouTubicals thing, description, that's what I call it, a link to the sheet that I've been working off. So maybe there might be some information that you might like there. Just beware, some of the information is based on estimates, even sometimes used AI just because it was just too hard to find the info. And it's really used to sort of just get a high level idea. So if you're going to use the info to make business decisions, do your double checking, do not rely on it. I will not be responsible for your stupid strategic decisions because you didn't double check. Anyway, let's move on. So based on my analysis, it looks like trades is really where the opportunity is for Australia. A lot of revenue going around. Yes, I'm sure there's a lot on materials and all this kind of thing as well, but the numbers tend to show that there's a lot of different niches, so a lot of different types of business within the trades. So I think that is where we will be going. Now I just have to determine which niche or niches to target first. What I've also been working on is refining the Colossal's mission, purpose, vision, and values, which is starting to become a bit of a mouthful. So I'm probably just going to call it something like why Colossal. For me, culture is really important because if your culture is right, you have more direction overall for the business. You also have less micromanaging and less time and resource spent like on correcting minor things with team members. And this also enables conversations with team members who aren't really hitting the standard. It enables those conversations to be a lot easier. I'll give you an example. So let's say you have no set culture, like no company values. You have to make it very clear to each team member on how to treat a customer, how to respond, when to respond, etc. Now, you can obviously write that out through processes and things like that, or I should say, what you can do is have a culture and one of your values is ownership. And of course you can describe that as well. So let's say that is the case. Let's say you got a good culture, one of your values is ownership. Now let's say that a team member hasn't met a deadline, you don't know what's happening with this task. They haven't met a deadline and let's say they haven't communicated it with the customer or anyone else. Just say a customer. If you have values that drive the organization, you can go, hey team member, what's going on with that task? Team member says, oh yeah, I'm a bit behind on that. I'm working on that. You say, oh, okay. And do you feel like the way you've sort of approached this is in line with our value of ownership? Team member says, oh, yeah, I sit there and think, oh, probably not actually. You say, oh, why not? Team member says, well, I think I could have either prioritized it better and got it done on time, or at least communicated to the customer that it wasn't going to be done on time. Then you say, yeah, I think you're right, actually. So what do you think the best way forward is? Team member says, I think I'm going to let the customer know that there's a delay. You say, good stuff. Hey, and also, can I make a suggestion? Team member says, oh yeah, sure. Of course, if you're the manager, a suggestion's more than just a suggestion, but you're treating it a little bit, you can do your own management style here. Then you say, do you reckon it would be a good idea to let the customer know when they can actually expect, like a date that they can expect the task to be done? Team member says, oh yeah, that's true for sure. You say, yeah, cool, good work, thanks. And like that approach you've mentioned, I reckon what you've mentioned is spot on and is in line with the value of ownership. Do you reckon you could always take that approach moving forward? Team member's like, oh yeah, definitely. Now, what happened there? What we had the values that was the talking point, and you just use persuasion or questioning. So now the team member comes up with the idea of what the standard is. And sometimes, by the way, when they do this, your team members will come up with things that you didn't even think of. And they'll actually even start putting standards on themselves that are higher than what you would have asked for. But then you think, that's a pretty good standard. Sometimes you got to be careful because sometimes team members will say, I'll do this, I'll do that. And in your mind, in my mind, I'll be thinking, no, that's a bit too much of a resource strain. It's a bit over the top. So we can tame that down a bit. This is much better. And then in this case, the team members said, oh, I think this will be more in line with the value of ownership. I think this approach. So they take ownership. Funny pun there in a way, but because it's their idea, they take more ownership on how they can be more in line with the value of ownership. That's going to influence the way they act moving forward. Much better, much nicer than going, hey, can we make this a process? Can we do this? Now you need both, to be clear. I'm not saying values negates the need for processes, but it can negate the need for some, and it also makes things a lot easier because now your team members are actually acting or you're driving them to act in accordance with a set of values rather than just a set of processes, which, if something's not written down in a process, well then it doesn't get done to the standard. So the values can help with that. Also, according to other successful business owners, it's easier to build a big business than to build and run a small business. With a big business, you have bigger goals, and that can attract better talent. And also, if you're going for bigger numbers, so bigger revenue numbers, that means you get more cash that you can use. So you've got more financial resourcing to deal with business problems. So whether it's to hire the right team member or pay for this software or pay for a contractor to solve business problems, you've just got more at your disposal there. And also, in my mind, when you have big goals, it's easier to keep yourself motivated, and also your team members and potential future team members. Let's think of it this way. Like what sounds better? Like if you're an A player, or you're an aspiring A player, so you're a future A player, like really aspiring and working towards this, what kind of job offer is going to sound better? What opportunity, I should say, because it's not always a job offer. What opportunity to work with a company or an upcoming company sounds better? Here's option number one. We want to just get a few clients that help us pay our bills and pay our staff, relatively well. Probably just kind of modest, maybe like about 10 clients to 15 clients, something like that. That's why we exist. Or option two, so we are here. Our mission is to help, or our purpose is to help businesses grow so that the business owners, the employees, and the customers have much better lives because of us. So equality is really important to us. Also, we have a goal that we're going for, and that is to achieve 1 billion in revenue, not for us, but as a combined number, to help the businesses that we help get that combined number in additional revenue because of the way we help them. So that's what we are looking to do here. And also, the way we operate is, like you could call it our mission or purpose, whatever you want to call it. Our way we operate is that we are constantly trying to be better than we were previously. It's a constant improvement, so that we're constantly doing better and better and better, because we know that in the beginning, hey, we're going to have better competition, right? It's just the way it is. But if we have this approach of we are just bettering ourselves, when we're doing that, that's going to keep our momentum up so that we are always getting better and we're staying in business. But then when we get to the point where we're better than the competition, we don't just slow down and stagnate because our competition is behind us. We have this thing where we will just outrun the competition because of these systems and this approach, to the way we've been operating. So that's what we're looking to do that's what we're looking to do with this agency. What of those options, if you're an A player, what of those options sounds more attractive? Right, the first one's probably going to attract probably not A players. Just being real. Probably people who want a more cruisy, a real relaxed style, which, by the way, there is nothing wrong with that at all. But it does, to me, it feels also a bit harder to build a solid business if you're not attracting the either A players or aspiring A players. All right, so another thing that I'm looking at is a white label agency for SEO and also potentially Google Ads, PPC, which is pay per click. I've been looking at a particular white label agency and they look very good. Interestingly, they also only provide two agencies. So businesses that aren't agencies can't actually hire them. Now, we will still manage like the prospect experience, customer experience. We'll have our own CRM, which we will provide support on. We will manage meta ads, write-ups for things like email campaigns, and anything else that we decide to add on. So the white label agency is really more for the delivery of the SEO and potentially Google Ads. Now, I've mostly had an aversion to using white label agencies for a couple of reasons. One is, well, if they're not good, we have to deal with it. Also, we're not building that internal capability, and they're not the ones speaking with the customers. However, this particular agency did come recommended from a very reputable person in the digital marketing agency world. And based on my assessment, because referrals don't mean anything, you have to do your own assessment. Based on my assessment, based on speaking with them, looking at their materials, I think they do look like they could really get good results because they're getting good results for others. Also, they're pretty expensive, which to me highlights that makes sense because they're actually good at what they do. Over time, we might look at building, we might look at bringing the stuff in-house. However, I think using a white label agency that not for everything, just to be clear, like it's just one component. It's mostly the SEO and the Google Ads, but the customer support, the CRM support, which is building the systems to help with communications with business communications with prospects. Like it's just one aspect that's being white labeled by them. However, I think what that's going to enable us to do is to focus on really getting our selling process down pat, giving us that confidence that, hey, because we've got this super good partner, you know, could say fulfillment partner for those particular aspects, SEO and Google Ads, we can have the confidence that they are going to do an exceptional job with that. We also will have our account managers or customer service or customer experience people, haven't thought of a name yet, that are also going to be, you know, making sure that everything's always on track. In addition to the other things we provide, I think it's going to really help us start providing a more premium service or more premium digital marketing / business growth products to help businesses that are pre-established and have more money to invest. So they have more money to invest to get better results than those who just don't have the cash to put in to get the same results. So I'm pretty excited to see where that lands. Final update for this video. So I'm looking at getting my main 2 team members potentially in an equity or revenue share structure. Basically something where they have the opportunity to own part of the business or share in its success in some way, in addition to getting paid whatever they're already getting paid. They've been working for me for a while now, and this year is the year where I really raised the standard. And I've mentioned in previous videos, which again, you probably haven't watched because you've got better things to do, but I mentioned in my previous videos that I was even ready to go. I was willing to let them go if they couldn't meet the new standard. They've both been hitting the new standard. So now it's getting to a point where it's like, hey, you've been around here long enough, you keep putting in the effort. There could be potential leadership opportunity with some sort of equity or revenue share. Now, if they are to take this on board, which by the way, I still need to assess to make sure I think it's the right thing for the business, it's going to require even more work and even more dedication from them. And I've told them this. I've told them that think about how hard it would be. Think about the mental as well, like the mental energy, that even the stress that's going to come with being a part owner when things start going wrong and going through all those kind of things. I told them, think about how hard that's going to be, or one in particular I told, think about how hard that's going to be, then double that. And now if you're still interested, we can talk. And he was. So I've concluded that he's crazy. On a serious note though, we're in conversations to help them, you know, determine if it's the right move for them as a human being, but also the right move for us, for the business. I've asked the 2 team members who are interested to come up with some sort of plan of how they would approach or what they would be looking to do if they were to step into more of a leadership role. And I've asked them to drive it, because a difference, in my mind, a difference between a leader and a non-leader, and to be clear, there's nothing wrong with being a non-leader. Like, it's just, I'm just calling out the differences here because you need both in a business. The difference is that the leader is proactively moving the needle and driving momentum, whereas the non-leaders will be doing what they're directed to do based on the leader who's driving the initiative. So for instance, you could be phenomenal at getting onto customer queries extremely fast and extremely well, providing CRM support, designing and optimizing ads based on the process. You could be a machine at that. But someone who's taken on a more leadership role is proactively doing the things that are out of process, such as finding ways to upgrade delivery capability, things to experiment, you know, looking at different tools or different tactics and strategies, exploring those opportunities where you can't really put that in a process because it just doesn't make sense. It's just a way of operating. It's that proactive approach and hunting, if you will, to how you can drive progress, whether it's driving improvement or driving sales. In this case, we're talking deliveries. That would be like driving improvements. Or you could be a sales team member who is exceptional at hitting the numbers that you need to hit, following your script, following your process, and even making sales. A leadership role would require someone who's able to hit those results, but also looking at optimization opportunities or different opportunities to target different segments, as an example, or different types of prospects, opportunities to even potentially improve the sales process to increase conversions. That's the kind of thing, you know, those are the kind of things that I'm looking for in potential leaders here. A way I'm assessing this is seeing how well they do at driving progress internally. Such as I've asked them to come up with a plan. I've told them that they need to drive it. They can ask questions, but it needs to be something where it's not me. It needs to be something where it's not me booking in a meeting with them to facilitate the planning. They've got to drive it. So they have to put it into my calendar if they want to discuss something. They have to get my approval or follow up with me, because I want to assess how much they drive initiatives rather than just following direction on initiatives that I drive. That's the difference I'm looking for. And the way I'm doing this, because I've never done this before, is very, very make it up as you go. And they know this, and so that's just the way it is. It'll be interesting to see where this all lands. Okay, bye.